Am I the a-hole for correcting my roomie about her meals when eating out? I love my roommate very much. She's a wonderful person and I consider her family. We've lived together for a few years and we're both pushing 30. My roomie has a digestive condition that will cripple her with stomach cramps if she even eats a little bit of dairy. She also doesn't eat meat, but she can do eggs and some fish. So as someone who loves food and cooking, I found it very easy to cook for the both of us, and she's always so grateful about it. We go on a lot of camping trips together. We really love it. Several times now on our way to a camping trip, we'd stop somewhere to get something to eat, and she'd end up doubled over with horrible cramps by the time we got to the campsite, and we'd have to pack up and turn around. Because I cook a lot, I have a better idea of what's in most food than she does. But when we first ate out together years ago, I pointed out something that had dairy in it to the waiter and mentioned she couldn't have dairy. And she asked me politely not to do that again, so I didn't. Well, last weekend we went on a big kayak camping trip. We had just gotten off a ferry and we were having a last hot meal at a little restaurant when she ordered something with brioche bread, which, unlike most breads, has a lot of butter in it. Yes, it does. I love it. So I said, don't get brioche. It has a ton of butter. She shot me a dirty look and asked the waiter to ask the chef, who confirmed it did, and she got a substitution. She was pretty peeved at me for correcting her about her meal in front of the waiter, something she had asked me not to do before. Okay, but like, what's the alternative though? Because you were about to go on a camping trip with this person and she was gonna make herself sick to the point where you couldn't go on the camping trip because you had to take her home because she was sick. Here's the thing about this trip though. We were going to camp overnight at Posey Island, a tiny island marine park off the coast of Friday Harbor, one of the San Juan Islands in the Puget Sound. I don't know if that's the Puget Sound. I don't know how to say that. People are gonna be like, nah, darling, not the Puget Sound. It's actually Puget. I'm so sorry, I don't know every word in the English dictionary. The island has only 2 campsites, and we'd rented both for 2 nights, so we were going to be getting the whole island to ourselves. And one day was the lowest tide of the month as well, so we'd be getting some excellent tide pooling in. There were 4 of us on this trip. Her, me, another friend, and my girlfriend. At this point, we'd woken up at 2 a.m., driven 5 hours, taken a 2-hour ferry that cost $70, and we were gearing up to paddle a few miles over the harbor in the early morning cold. We'd all taken time off work, which was hard for us, and the only reason we'd taken such an early ferry was so we could paddle over in the early morning when there were less boats. Because Rumi is afraid of kayaking near large boats, and honestly, none of us love it. So after we did all that, I wasn't willing to turn around because she didn't want to be told she ordered something with dairy in it. And the way the ferries work to the San Juans, we'd be waiting maybe days to get on without a reservation, which was set for the day we were leaving. So am I the a-hole for correcting her about her own dietary restrictions? Edit. I feel the need to point out that while trips have been ended before due to dairy slips, of the 5 times or so, it's happened 2 out of 3 that were not her fault because she ordered vegan food and we camp a lot. Basically every weekend of summer and many weekends in spring and fall. This has happened fewer than 1 out of 10 trips. I feel like she's embarrassed about her allergy, maybe? I don't really understand why she's so peeved about it. Like, why does that bother you so much? I feel like because it affects not only her, but like everyone else, I don't feel like you're the a-hole at all. I would actually argue that you have a right to be mad at her because she ruins trips because she's not like, when you have a food allergy, you need to be diligent about letting waiters know that you have allergies, about, avoiding your allergens before, situations like this where there's no hospital. It would be very hard for you all to leave. We need to mitigate and de-escalate the issues that could arise from her eating something that she can't. So this is why OP thinks she's the a-hole. 1, the action I took was correcting my roommate about the food she ordered. 2, that might make me the a-hole because that's rude of me. I could have said it differently. I could have pointed it out not in front of the waiter. Could have just not told her what to get. I feel like she's insecure about this little issue of hers, but it's nothing to be insecure about. I also wonder if there's pills that she can take for this kind of thing. I guess maybe you didn't have to say it in front of the waiter. I think that you were trying to just do her a solid though. I fail to understand why she's upset about this. Not the a-hole. Roommate doesn't get to not advocate for her own health by not being vigilant about what she eats and ruin everyone else's plans as a result. Yeah, that's what's like, I feel like the a-hole here is the roommate because she's not considering that all of you have made these plans and her not caring about what she orders like affects all of you. Yep, they can eat whatever they want knowing the consequence. The additional consequence should be that that roommate misses out on the fun activity that everyone else is doing. OP needs to stop parenting this person and letting them ruin events. It's not valid when the consequence is no one gets to do the activity because they took one car on a 5-hour drive. I agree she's allowed to eat whatever she wants in a normal circumstance, but I find it strange she's constantly doing this before they have outdoor plans, generally leading to the plans being canceled. Feels intentional. Interesting. I don't know if I would go that far that it's intentional. It's not like this happens every time. Just let her be upset about it. Like, who cares? Not the a-hole, but it is time to let her suffer the consequences of her own actions without you suffering along with her. I mean, that's a very good point, but I think it's kind of difficult in this situation. I would argue that maybe it's time to like not include this roommate. It seems like whenever she isn't well enough to attend something because she's down dairy beforehand, you also turn around and go home with her. That has to change. I have a friend like this that like is always conveniently sick when she doesn't want to go somewhere. And then that results in like her husband not being able to come either. I don't know if that applies here because it's like you all took time off work. You all paid for this trip. I feel like the circumstances are different when she's actually like pitched in toward it, you know? Sorry, just dropped a little nugget of tea. She's an adult and is responsible for her own actions. If she can't be bothered to manage her own dairy intolerance, then she should be the only one suffering the consequences of that choice. If she doesn't want you to help identify dairy-containing foods, then that's fine. If she wants to stick her head in the sand about what is in the food she's eating and suffer for it later, that's her prerogative as a grown woman. You should stop missing out on doing the things you want to do just because she can't manage herself and her medical condition. I don't know if it's some kind of power play or if she's just that ignorant, but either way, it's time for you to stop playing along. She goes home to hug the toilet and you have fun doing whatever you have planned. So OP's in the comments kind of just saying like, I really like this person. Like, I love her. She's like a sister to me. One person said, having a discussion to set the boundary is important. If she is such a good friend, she deserves an honest discussion about what's been noticed and what will happen going forward so she's not blindsided by and unprepared for a sudden change. Yeah, I mean, OP's just like, oh, it doesn't happen often, but like it happens often enough that it's ruined it for you. And it was about to happen again. So I'm going to go with not the a-hole. Just because someone is nice and like you have a good relationship with them, that doesn't mean that they're like, that no boundaries need to be set.